Next up, friends and relatives, I'd like to introduce to you the Deputy Undersecretary for Natural Resources and Environment, the U.S. Department of Agriculture. We'd like to give a warm welcome to Meryl Harrell.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to step a little over here. Thank you so much. I'm so very glad to be here. My name is Meryl Harrell. I am the Deputy Undersecretary for Natural Resources and Environment at U.S. Department of Agriculture, or USDA. Alongside Undersecretary Homer Wilkes, I work closely with my colleagues in the U.S. Forest Service, which stewards 193 million acres of national forests and grasslands, supports the stewardship of state, private, and tribal forest lands, and engages with many countries around the world. In our roles, Undersecretary Wilkes and I help to lead USDA's implementation of the Joint Secretarial Order on fulfilling the trust responsibility to Indian tribes in the stewardship of federal lands and waters. I bring greetings and appreciation for this gathering on behalf of Undersecretary Wilkes, USDA Secretary Tom Vilsack, and my colleagues across the administration. It truly is an honor to be here on these ancestral homelands of the great Sioux Nation tribes, to join WILD12's focus on viewing and stewarding wild places through the lens of traditional cultures and indigenous knowledge and wisdom. Wild places are where I personally feel most at home, where I feel most connected to the past and to the world around me, and to the hope I have for future generations, especially when I'm with my two children. Wild places are where my family goes to reconnect and restore our spirits and to be together in the outdoors. That's why my first jobs were in wilderness stewardship and why I served on the board and then as executive director of a wilderness organization partnering with the Forest Service to steward wild places and connect the next generation to them. It's also one of the many reasons I am so grateful to be at USDA, working with my colleagues in the Forest Service at this moment of reflection and inflection, to carry forward stewardship of these places that we love with full recognition of and respect for the traditional stewards of these ancestral lands. As we as a community come together from homelands around the world, it could not be more important that we honor the perspectives, knowledge, history, values, and rights of Indigenous peoples. In the US, we must acknowledge the painful history of removal, harm, and erasure that is part of our public lands history. In wilderness, this erasure is embedded in the very words of the Wilderness Act of 1964, which called these lands untrammeled by man, and failed to recognize the painful history and failed to recognize the thousands of years of prior Indigenous presence and active stewardship. We must act on this acknowledgement of the harms of the past to meaningfully repair our relationship with tribes and to inform and change our current and future actions. At USDA, we are committed to a new path forward, including in these sacred Black Hills. Just a few days ago, Undersecretary Wilkes, Forest Service Chief Randy Moore, and the Black Hills National Forest Forest Supervisor Sean Cochran joined with leaders of the great Sioux Nation tribes to finalize and sign a co-stewardship framework for management of the Black Hills National Forest. This historic Memorandum of Understanding provides a path for consultation, cooperation, and collaboration for the long-term tribal co-stewardship of the Black Hills, including for workforce development, collaborative planning, integrating traditional ecological knowledge into decision-making, protection of sacred sites, including through the removal of hazardous fuels, and management of wilderness. All of this for the next 7 generations and beyond. This MOU also complements other recent co-stewardship agreements and MOUs, including for the Pactola Visitor Center and the Dakota Prairie Grasslands, to advance food sovereignty and ensure that the great Sioux Nation tribe's history, stories, values, and place names can be centered, honored, and celebrated. Changes like these are happening across the country as the Forest Service works to meaningfully repair relationships with tribal nations. And they show what we can do when we listen and when we work together. Over the past 3 years, the agency has worked hard to change its culture, and I want to recognize the amazing leadership of Reed Robinson, the director of the Forest Service Office of Tribal Relations, and his fantastic team, as well as the essential leadership of the former head of USDA's Office of Tribal Relations, Heather Dawn Thompson, and her team. This work has the personal commitment of leaders all throughout USDA and the Forest Service. From changing the name of a key part of the agency to recognize tribes and tribal lands, to removing match requirements for agreements with tribal nations, to developing and implementing the agency's first tribal action plan, to formally recognizing Indigenous knowledge and directing that it be used to inform decision-making, to integrating Indigenous values of reciprocity and ecocultural restoration into agency planning and working to enable tribal cultural burning, to supporting workforce development opportunities for Native youth, to working across USDA to support food sovereignty, and to engaging in government-to-government consultation with tribes that has led to the development of more than 180 co-stewardship agreements in just the last 2 years. USDA and the Forest Service are working to show up differently, as are our colleagues at the Department of the Interior and across the administration. And I share these because they are the building blocks on steps to a different future, a better path forward. While these changes do represent progress, we know there is still much work to be done to uphold our trust and treaty obligations, to repair our nation-to-nation relationship with tribes, to ensure accountability for the long-term persistence of these changes, and to expand respect, common ground, equality, and trust. This includes the work of this gathering. Change must be woven into how we steward wilderness areas and wild places into the future. We are all connected. We are all related to each other and to the land. This gathering will allow us to learn from each other and leaders across the world, across boundaries, and across cultures. With the guidance of so many elders and leaders at this gathering, the knowledge that each of you bring, and the conversations that we will have will help to create the change necessary for our collective well-being now and into the future. I and my colleagues in the Forest Service and across the administration and federal family, including our Wilderness Director, Katie Armstrong, and her great team, are here to listen, to learn, to deepen our understanding, and to work shoulder to shoulder moving forward. So I want to say thank you to Mr. Two Eagle and the entire Shechangu Lakota Treaty Council. Thank you to Amy, the WILD Foundation team, and all of those who have worked on WILD12. Thanks to all of you who have traveled from very far away to be here, and to those of you who call this place home. And my great appreciation to all of the amazing speakers, singers, and teachers who have been a part of this opening ceremony. It truly has been a great honor to be here with you, and I look forward to the learning and to the changes to come. Thank you.